Hi everyone, it's Monica and welcome back to Taylor-Made Cards for You. Well, today I want to share with you how to make 3 cards using just 2 stamps. Now the cards are going to be ranging from very simple to a little bit more complex. And when I say complex, it just means it's going to take you a little bit more time to put it together. So when you're making your Christmas cards, if you feel like you have, lots of time, you're starting early, you might want to make a little bit more intricate card. But if you are running behind, I know a lot of us, the holidays sneak up on us really quickly, but you want to make your handmade greeting cards, then I'm going to share with you another technique where you can get several cards put together in a shorter amount of time. Now, the cards that I'm going to be making are 3 sizes. I'm going to be making an A2 size, which is the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to make a 5 by 7 card, and then I'm going to make a Slimline card. And I know a lot of you like the Slimline cards. They've been very popular this year. So I wanted to at least give you a design using that size for this technique video as well. Now the 2 stamps that I'm going to be using are these 2 here. I'm going to use this poinsettia stamp, which is an old Stampin' Up set, but you can use any poinsettia stamp that you want. Poinsettias are great for holiday cards. They're easy to color. You only need a few colors, and they look great on your holiday cards. And then this is the sentiment that I'm going to be using, and it's one of the Tim Holtz Christmas sentiments that came out probably a couple years ago. Now the embellishments that I'm going to be using some of my washi tape, and then I'm going to be using this liquid pearls. But if you have Nuvo drops, anything like that would work as well. So let's go ahead and start from the easiest card, and then we'll work our way up. So for the easy card, we're going to start with the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And we're going to be focusing on, like I said, this sentiment here. So we're going to have 2 stamps on this particular card. It's going to be the sentiment, and then we're going to stamp the poinsettia. So let's go ahead and get our sentiment stamped first. Now you can easily create these cards in an assembly line. You can get all of your cardstock cut out, and then you can stamp all of your sentiments at the same time, and then you can come in with the poinsettia stamp. And there is a little bit of coloring involved, but if you didn't want to do any coloring, you could probably just stamp your poinsettia with some colored ink, and I'm sure that would be pretty as well. So I'm using my Misty to make sure I get a nice crisp sentiment stamp. But for the poinsettia, I'm going to be working off of a block acrylic to do my stamping. All right, so now that I have my sentiment, I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. And then we're going to stamp with the poinsettia stamp. Now for this particular stamp, I'm going to stamp off of the card. And this is just to show some of the stamps, and it's to take up some of that white space. So knowing that I'm going to be stamping off of some of it, I want to put something underneath so I don't get ink all over my desk here, which ultimately would probably end up on my card. So let's go ahead and just ink this up, and then we'll figure out the placement. Now when you're stamping off of the edge, there's a lot of ways you can go. I mean, you can go as close as you want, you can turn it, lots of different ways. So I'll leave that up to you. I want to get as tight in as I can to my sentiment, so I'm going to go with the long way. And then I'm just going to hold this down and firmly push down so I get a nice crisp image. Now once I color this up, it's going to be very festive, but I like balance on my cards. So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to add some washi tape. Washi tape is a great way to add color to your cards, and it's a quick way to add more interest. So I'm going to go ahead and add my washi tape right next to it, and as you can see, I am using this washi tape that has some really great garnet colors, which will go great with the poinsettia flowers. And this is perfect as it is. If you wanted to add more, you could certainly do that as well. You can go as detailed or as simple as you want. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of more here just to give it a little bit more framing, and then I'll show you the end result. So as you can see, washi tape comes in different sizes. This one here was a little bit thicker, and now I'm coming in with some thin strips. And then we're going to balance it off by just putting one right there. And then I'll just fold this over like this. It's really nice. And then I will mat it on some black cardstock and then ultimately color it up. Now, the colors that I'm using, if you like Copic markers, there's 3 colors that work great for your poinsettias, and these work great for Santas as well. So the outline is the R89, and then I come in with an R29 and an R27, and these work great for your poinsettia stamps. So let me go ahead and show you the end result here. So this is ultimately the card that I put together. As you can see, I colored these up. I used some green for my greenery, and then I came in with my liquid pearl. And as you saw, it was very easy to put this together. So you could put these together in no time at all to create several sets of your Christmas cards. Now the next card I want to share with you, again, kind of using the same technique, but we're going to go a little bit more detailed on this one. And this is going to be our Slimline card. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into my MISTI so we can stamp our sentiment. And again, I'm using the sentiment from Tim Holtz. Let me go ahead and get some of that excess ink off. And I'm going to go ahead and line it up to go right in the middle. Now this stamp is perfect for the Slimline cards because, as you can see, it is a little bit longer. So it lines up really nicely on Slimlines. Now Slimline cards measure 3.5 by 8.5. So I'm sure you could probably modify that, but that's the official size on a Slimline card from what I've looked up. So that's what I'm working with today. So I'm going to go ahead and again ink up my sentiment and then stamp this to make sure I get a nice crisp stamp. And we'll go one more time. Now if you wanted to add more color, of course, you can stamp your sentiment in a red and a green, you know, anything that would go nicely with your poinsettia stamps. But I'm sticking with the traditional black. So we'll go ahead and put this to the side now that I have my sentiment, and we'll stamp our images. Okay, again, I'm coming in with my poinsettia stamp, and we're going to stamp the corners. So on the first stamp, we used one stamp and we were off the edge. This one, we're going to go ahead and come in on the corners, and I'm going to try to get most of the stamp in here. I have a lot of room on the Slimline, so I want to use up as much of the cardstock as I can. And as you can see, this stamp frames the sentiment really nicely. So again, I want to try to get most of the stamp in. And there you go. So of course I'm going to come in and color it. And then I'll add my Nuvo drops or my liquid pearls to add a little bit more. And let me show you, for this one, I want to add a little bit more color. So I'm going to add some of my thinner washi tape. So I'm going to just kind of come in here. And you want to definitely be careful if your ink is wet. As you can see, I have a little smudge here. I'm not going to worry about that too much, but you're going to want to take that into consideration as well. Trying to avoid my sentiment here. And pull it up just a bit so I can fold over. All right. Okay. And then ultimately, this is what you're going to end up with. So as you can see, I colored up the poinsettias, and then I added, again, my liquid pearls, just to give it a little bit more interest. Okay, so those are the two easiest cards that you could put together. Both of them I think would be really quick to put together, but of course they're different sizes. Now, some of us like to go overboard on our Christmas cards, and I get it, I do that as well. But some of the more intricate cards definitely take more time. And you might find where you're very enthusiastic in the beginning, you know, we're starting 6 months early, but as the months progress, you may start running out of time. So you certainly want to take that into consideration. So the first thing, again, what we're going to do is we're going to stamp our sentiment. And this is going to be right in the middle. And again, I'm going to be using my Misty to get the perfect stamp. All right. And this is going to end up to be a 5x7 card. So maybe you want to do just a few of these. You can certainly stamp out several of these and color them over the next several months. You've got plenty of time to be able to create more detailed cards starting early, of course. So now that we have our sentiment stamp, let's go ahead and pull out that poinsettia stamp and frame our sentiment. So for this one, again, I'm using the same stamp, but I'm going to go all around. So I'm going to start on my corner, and I'm going to let the sentiment guide me as to how I'm going to arrange this. So I think I'll start on this side first, and I'm going to come in as tight to the sentiment as I can. Okay, and then I'm just going to continue to go around. Now you can certainly stamp over prior images, but I'm going to try to avoid that. And I'll continue to just place my stamp, positioning it to frame my sentiment. So as you can see, it's not real difficult to do. what takes up most of the time is the coloring. But if you wanted to, again, maybe stamp these flowers in a red or maybe a burgundy, you can certainly do that as well, and that would speed up your process tremendously. And then we'll do a final one on the corner. Okay, so as you can see, it's a lot of flowers going on here, so it's going to take quite a bit of coloring. I'm not going to use any washi tape on this. I will frame it with a couple of different color of paper, and let me go ahead and show you the end result. So this is what we end up with. As you can see, it has lots of colors. I did end up adding more liquid pearl. I matted it with 2 types of cardstock to come up with this gorgeous card. So as you can see, just using 2 stamps, I was able to come up with 3 different cards, increasing the time that it takes to make these. So as you recall, we made the first one, which was the A2 size card. Very simple. We just stamped the sentiment and then came off of the edge here, added some washi tape, and we were good to go. And then the second one here is the Slimline Card, where we did 2 stamps, added some washi tape. Again, our sentiment in the middle, very easy. And then we progressed to the more time-consuming card in the middle. So I hope that I've given you some ideas on how to create very simple cards, or cards that might take a little bit more time, just using 2 stamps. For your holiday cards, you don't have to go out and buy lots of stamps. I used this Stampin' Up set, which is really, really old, but poinsettia stamps, a lot of them are similar, so you could easily get away with finding your favorite and using it over and over again. So as always, I'll leave a list of all the products that I've used to create these 2 cards and the links to the stores. For the poinsettias, I will find a few that I think would be perfect for this technique, since I probably won't be able to find the Stampin' Up set. But I will give you a few recommendations for the poinsettia stamps. And if you've enjoyed the video, I would sure appreciate a thumbs up. All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you again next time.